WKRG News 5.
With just a few days left of class, the superintendent calls for 2 schools to be shut down. We'll have a live report.
The son of a governor is among more than 150 people arrested at the Hangout Music Fest over the weekend.
Plus, we're learning more about a Mobile City Councilman shot in the face during a business trip to South Africa.
I'm News 5's Emily DeVoe, and coming up in part 1 of our series, Fight the Bite, we'll tell you why conditions along the Gulf Coast might make the perfect storm for a future Zika outbreak.
From WKRG News 5, the Gulf Coast news leader, the news starts now.
Hi, everyone. I'm Peter Albrecht.
And I'm Devin Walsh. Thanks for joining us tonight. First on 5, Mobile County Superintendent has dropped a big bomb on 2 local schools. Martha Peak wants to shut them down after this year. We're talking about May Eanes Middle School and Belsaw Mount Vernon Elementary. News 5's Alan Carter joins us live from May Eanes with more. Alan?
And Devin, Peak says both of these schools have steadily been experiencing decreases in enrollment. In the case of Belsaw, they're down to less than 100 students. That's for the kindergarten through the 5th grade. But the real controversy here surrounds May Eanes Middle School. The board member for this school, Robert Battle, says this announcement, at least for him, came with very little warning. As Martha Peak introduced this proposal today, it would send the students from May Eanes down the street to Williamson High School. That will create a combined school. Because of the declining student numbers, they haven't been able to offer as many classes, Peak says, and because performance has suffered. But Battle says performance is actually going down because the school is being ignored, and he wants to save it.
So overall, the main focus is on making sure that we're offering a rigorous, comprehensive program that's successful for all students.
For years, they have neglected May Eanes Middle School. They've had programs. They had May Eanes one time had almost 1,200 students. So what I'm saying is, if you really want to increase the enrollment, what you need to do is offer quality programs.
And a vote on the issue was held over today, but it could happen as early as tomorrow. If it is approved, those closures would take effect for the next school year. Reporting live in Mobile, Alan Carter, News 5.
More than 150 people who went to the Hangout Festival this weekend in Gulf Shores spent more time in jail than on the beach listening to the music. The most popular charges: possession of drugs, public intoxication, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest. And among those arrested, a member of one state's first family. Here's News 5's Debbie Williams.
The majority of the thousands that crammed Gulf Shores beaches for the Hangout Music Festival minded their manners and didn't break any laws.
I thought it went very well. It was, ironically, I think the arrest numbers were maybe slightly up. Arrested people, charges, maybe even citations. It didn't have that kind of feel, though.
A relatively small amount ended their festival in handcuffs.
At the gate, it's pretty much zero tolerance. You know, it can't come in. If we can detect it, you know, we're going to deal with it.
Among those dealt with as they entered the festival, Asa Hutchinson III, the 40-year-old son of the governor of Arkansas, wearing a sweatshirt tied around his waist.
Deputies took the subject to the side, asked him if he had anything illegal on him or anything he shouldn't have in his possession. He did pull, at that time, a flask of liquor out.
A search revealed something else.
He had 2 capsules of Molly and 4 capsules of ecstasy.
Popular drugs at the festival described as mood-altering, rave-type drugs.
He was very compliant. He would not say where the drugs had come from. He said it must be some type of mistake.
After his arrest, Hutchison was booked in here to the Baldwin County Jail. He spent about 7 or 8 hours here before bonding out, and then we're told flew back to Arkansas on his private jet. In Arkansas, Governor Hutchinson addressed his son's arrest.
Those are the days that it's tough to be a parent and it's tough to be a son. And I think every parent and every son would identify and understand that problem. My son's an adult, and he will have to address this just like he has had to address other things in the past.
And those other things in the past include an arrest earlier this year of driving while intoxicated. He now has a felony possession drug charge here in Baldwin County. The younger Hutchinson is an attorney and managing partner of his own law firm in Bentonville, Arkansas. Live from the Baldwin County Beat and the Baldwin County Newsroom, Debbie Williams, News 5. Thanks, Debbie. Mobile City Councilman C.J. Small is still recovering from a gunshot wound to the face in South Africa tonight. He was shot in Johannesburg on Saturday. It happened after authorities say his tour bus was ambushed. Our news team has been in contact with officials in South Africa. News 5's Jacqueline Quinn joins us now live from the newsroom with the latest. Jackie?
Yeah, that's right, Evan. C.J. Small went to surgery for the wound he sustained to his cheek. That injury was caused by a gunshot wound allegedly from one of the people robbing Small's tour bus. Now, we've learned that C.J. Small was initially taken to Charlotte McQuakey General Hospital in Johannesburg. When our reporter J.B. Buno called earlier, they told us he'd actually been transferred to Mill Park Hospital, which is private and also has a specialized trauma care center. Again, he underwent surgery this morning and is now recovering.
We all are very sorry that this has happened. Our goal now is to get CJ home. We're ready to do whatever's necessary to get him home. I think that's the big effort now, is to get. We think that we can provide a much better care for him if we can get him here.
I was heartsick to hear about it and the distance that he's off in a foreign country. I can't imagine the pain of his family not being near him to comfort him.
And we were told yesterday that several people were hurt in that incident, and one of those people, we're told, was Small's sister. His family now is working with the U.S. consulate, and the FBI is investigating what happened. We'll have more for you coming up at 6. In the newsroom, Jacqueline Quinn, News 5.
Thanks, Jackie. A surprise today in the ongoing battle to build a soccer complex in Mobile. The county was set to vote on purchasing property to build the complex on Halls Mill Road, but Commissioner Merceria Ludgood, who had supported design work and permitting, would not agree to purchase the property unless there was a concrete plan in place on how to pay the $20 million to build the complex out. Commissioner Connie Hudson, the driving force behind the complex, is now proposing to use a portion of the county's lodging tax to pay for it.
We need to couple the source of funding for the project along with the property purchase to go forward. If we can't do that, if we can't put those together, then there's an issue.
Supporters say the complex is a huge recreation need and would boost tourism. The purchase price of the land is $3 million to be split between the city and the county. Last year, a News 5 strategy poll showed 65% of people in Mobile County wanted to build the complex, and 54% favored using existing tax revenues to do so.
While Mobile County commissioners were talking soccer today, in Baldwin County, a marketing campaign designed to get wealthy and white-collar beach vacationers to do business in Gulf Shores and Orange Beach was launched. The Baldwin County Economic Alliance rolled out its Business Where You Beach campaign at a press conference at Jack Edwards National Airport in Gulf Shores. Jack Edwards is one of Alabama's busiest airports, and it's primarily used by corporate business professionals and CEOs who have vacation homes and condos at the beach. The Economic Development Alliance says it makes sense to reach out to business owners who fly in for pleasure and let them know that Gulf Shores and Orange Beach are just about a business hub as anywhere and also a prime vacation destination.
These folks fly back to wherever they're from and make business decisions day in and day out with the companies they either own or work for. And we want this to be a location that they not only consider to visit, but consider for business investment.
The Economic Development Alliance says South Baldwin County has excellent services for corporate and business expansion. The Alliance says they'll reach out to corporate leaders in the medical and software industries through their Business Where You Beach website and marketing campaign.
I'm News 5's Emily DeVoe. What deadly connection does Mobile have to the mosquito that carries the Zika virus? We'll tell you in just a bit.
And you probably enjoyed a reasonable humidity level today. That'll creep up in the next couple of days as we keep the roasty, toasty temperatures in your forecast.
An officer on trial for the controversial death of Freddie Gray will not serve any time behind bars. We'll have the details.
And as we go to break, we are looking live with Mobile Bayway. You can see traffic is slow going on I-10 eastbound. You're watching News 5, the Gulf Coast news leader.
You're watching WKRG News 5, voted Television Station of the Year by the Alabama Broadcasters Association.
Schedule your AC inspection today. Call Farnell at 471-2674.
Hey, do you watch News 5 this morning?
All morning, every morning.
You! I love you!
News 5 this morning wakes me up every morning.
How does News 5 this morning fit into your morning routine?
It gives us the extra oomph in the morning that we need to get going out the door.
It gets me started for the day.
I get up, check the weather, and get ready for my day.
It motivates me in the morning. I like watching it.
Keep me informed on what I need to know.
News 5.
News 5 is the best way to start the day.
You say it best. That's coverage you can count on.
Hey, Tundra here to tell you all about Toyota time at Eastern Shore Toyota. Right now, drive new 4Runners or RAV4s, your choice, 0% financing available, and get our nationwide lifetime warranty. Hurry in before time runs out. It's Toyota time at Eastern Shore Toyota.
Celebrate the red, white, and you at IP Casino Resort Spa. In the $100,000 Cars and Stripes giveaway, you could win an Acura TLX May 27th, a Cadillac ATS May 28th, or a share of 20,000 slot dollars. Earn entries in May. Get 25 times your entries May 26th, 10 times May 27th, and 5 times May 28th.
IP Casino Resort and Spa. It's fun for everyone.
A race, Barry, to see who's the fastest man alive.
The Flash, Tuesday at 7 on the CW55. CBS Tonight.
Mr. Reese, we're about to crash a wedding.
The entertainment uncensored.
How much would it be to get you into something more comfortable?
The guests.
Oh, dear.
Unwelcome.
That's not a crasher. That's a killer.
You're invited. Oops. To the most unforgettable event of the season.
That was the most stressful wedding ceremony I've ever attended.
New Person of Interest. CBS Tonight. And catch back-to-back new episodes tomorrow.
Hey, Tundra here to tell you all about Toyota time at Eastern Shore Toyota. Right now, drive new Corollas or Camrys, your choice, 0% financing available, and get our nationwide lifetime warranty. Hurry in before time runs out. It's Toyota time at Eastern Shore Toyota.
Now, Alan Seals with First Alert Weather.
It is Monday, and you're probably coming home after a long day at work. How's that for spending a day on Pensacola Beach this afternoon? Sapphire skies, emerald green water. A good-looking scene, as is the scene on the Mobile River. Looking southward, same story. Notice no clouds over the Gulf, just a peaceful pattern to start what is a mellow Monday. 80 degrees right now at Gulf Quest Maritime Museum. The winds are out of the south-southeast, 14 miles an hour. Now, humidity is low, and the rest of us are sitting in the 80s, as are our neighbors to the north. In fact, head into northern Wisconsin. Temperatures there above average in the 80s. Look at El Paso at 91. Bit by bit, we are getting warmer, but drip by drip, we're not getting wetter. For the next several days, this is the way the map will look in the afternoon. Rain stays away from us due to high pressure that will keep us with a light southeast wind. So on our Alpha Skycam, we're looking at 84 degrees here at News 5, a gentle east-southeasterly wind, and it all means a smooth, quiet, dry evening. At 7 p.m., that should be a P, temperatures in the mid-70s. At 7 a.m., it'll be mid-60s, so a fairly comfortable start to tomorrow, which will end up in the upper 80s. So our temperatures are going to be a little bit above average, a couple of degrees. But tomorrow, temperatures near average, a light southeast wind. But what that's going to do is start to bring the humidity back little by little. We won't really notice it a lot tomorrow, but by Wednesday afternoon, as that southeast wind picks up, humidity will creep up. The air becomes more sticky, but will still stay dry. Beyond Wednesday into Thursday and Friday, a couple of pop-up afternoon showers and thunderstorms, but it doesn't look like a whole bunch. Dry is the word, not just for tonight, but the next several nights and the next several afternoons. We will see a broad temperature range. If you're north of Highway 84, mid-50s in places like Thomasville, Burnt Corn, and Beatrice. But if you're at the beaches, it'll be upper 60s. Big difference between the coast and inland. Tomorrow, if you're at the coast, mid-80s. But north of Highway 84, you'll be touching those naughty 90s. Get used to that. Summer is right around the corner. We'll get the sunshine tomorrow and Wednesday and Thursday. Rain coverage the next few days less than 5%. Goes to about 10% Friday. And for the weekend leading into Memorial Day, afternoon showers, thunderstorms, over 20% of the area.
We are hearing more about Zika cases popping up in the U.S.
And local doctors say our area is prime for the virus to come here. We'll have details in part 1 of a News 5 special report next.
Visit WKRG.com. Voted Best News Website 2 years in a row by the Alabama Broadcasters Association.
The Vascular Center presents the new you. No more varicose veins. Call the Vascular Center today, 445-0075, or visit mobilevascular.com.
Furniture buyers, listen carefully. A rather shocking public announcement. This is Tupelo Furniture Gallery, and after years serving this community right here in Mobile, they have made the decision to close these doors and go out of business. This is public notice of the last and biggest sale Tupelo Furniture Gallery will ever conduct. This is their going out of business sale. Everything is on sale at an unbeatable going out of business price. Living rooms, bedrooms, dining rooms, genuine leather furniture, motion furniture. It's all here, but not for long. Hurry to Tupelo Furniture Gallery.
Which attorney has the most convenient locations in South Alabama? Attorney Stephen L. Klimjak.
I'm attorney Stephen L. Klimjak. We now have 3 convenient locations: Mobile, Foley, and West Mobile.
694-0600.
Reintroducing Arby's 2 for $6 beef and turkey gyro. No, gyro? Gyro? Mediterranean tacos. Arby's, we have the meat.
Need news on the go? Check out the WKRG News 5 app, available for all smartphones. Just go to the App Store or Google Play and type in WKRG.
During Hank's Memorial Day sale, register for a $90,000 furniture giveaway.
And buy chenille recliners, $199, or queen storage beds, $344.
Now through Memorial Day at Hank's. Fine furniture.
Hi, I'm looking for my first Toyota. The Corolla is a great choice. It's super reliable, so it'll be with you for a lot of firsts. Wow, I'm really going places. In a Corolla, right?
Right now, during the Toyota Time Sales Event, get a 2-year, no-cost maintenance lease on a new 2016 Toyota Corolla LE for $159 a month.
First things first, your keys.
Toyota, let's go places.
During Hank's Memorial Day sale, register for a $90,000 furniture giveaway.
And buy power reclining sofas, $799, or accent chairs, $199.
Now through Memorial Day at Hank's. Fine furniture.
By now, you've probably heard of the Zika virus, a virus found mostly in South and Central America, but one that poses a threat here at home. All this week, we're diving into the possibility of Zika cases popping up here this summer. News 5's Emily DeVoe is live in the studio.
Peter, the thing to remember is so far we haven't seen any cases spread by mosquitoes yet. That's the key word. All of these have been travel related, but it's only a matter of time before that changes. And if and when it does, we need to make sure we're ready because the Gulf Coast could get hit the hardest.
A new storm is coming. And some say the entire Gulf Coast could find itself at ground zero. We're talking about Zika.
It's likely that we will see some transmission in our area sometime in the future.
And indeed locally, I say in the southeast, because the mosquito that spreads it the best is the mosquito that we have.
That the Zika virus is, quote, spreading explosively.
Tens of thousands of people are going to and from infected areas all the time.
When the reports first started, no one paid much attention unless they traveled to South America.
Florida now declaring a health emergency.
And even today, health professionals have very conflicting views on just how big the threat might be at home.
The chance that we're going to have a huge outbreak like this is going on in the South America and the Caribbean right now is fairly small.
And if we are going to start seeing Zika cases, we might start seeing them soon in the coming weeks. And so that's something that we need to aggressively look for.
Through video chat, we spoke to Dr. Peter Hotez in Houston, who helps create vaccines for tropical diseases. He says doctors are scrambling to create a usable Zika vaccine, but nothing will be ready in time for this year's looming epidemic.
The fact that it's going to be needed, we're going to need to target pregnant women, means we're not going to have this vaccine anytime soon.
If you combine the Aedes family of mosquitoes with pockets of poverty like you have in parts of Mobile, Hotez says you have the perfect storm for a potential outbreak.
Right now, I do not think we're prepared.
Most people infected won't even know they have it. Only 1 in 5 show any symptoms at all.
Fever, a rash, muscle aches.
But infectious disease doctor Stephen Alsop says you could still carry the infection for months.
Once you're infected with it, you actually may carry the virus after your illness is gone. You still may carry the virus and be a risk to someone else for a couple of months.
Those most at risk, pregnant women, since the virus is now linked to severe birth defects. While we haven't seen any mosquito-borne cases in the U.S. yet, expectant mothers are anxious for if and when that changes.
When I was pregnant with my first child, I think I was just nervous because I hadn't been a parent before. And this time I actually was really excited and not nervous at all until recently, once the Zika outbreaks started happening.
News 5's Alan Carter's wife Stephanie is already taking precautions.
I'm going on a lot of walks and stuff because it's good for when you're pregnant. So I wear bug spray, and then when I come back, I take a shower.
National health officials have been toying with the idea of telling women not to get pregnant this summer, but so far they haven't made that call. Part of the reason is because what we know about Zika evolves every day. 6 months from now, we'll know scores more than we do right now. But if you think this is the first time Mobile has ever been threatened by the Aedes mosquito, it's not.
Nearly every person buried here at the Church Street Cemetery downtown died of yellow fever, a deadly disease carried by the same mosquito as the Zika virus.
It was called the Scourge of the South, and as Mobile grew, there were annual outbreaks of the disease, and between 1819 and 1878, there were 8 epidemic years.
Yellow fever is far more deadly than Zika, but just as Mobile was caught off guard by that outbreak, history could repeat itself if we don't start preparing now.
Well, Emily, when do the experts think these cases will start to shift from those that are travel related to ones that are contracted here?
Well, the thing to really keep in mind is that in order to start seeing mosquito-borne cases, the right mosquito needs to bite the right person, someone who's already infected. Right now, those numbers are low, but if more and more people travel to South and Central America for the Olympics this summer or vacation, we could see the number of cases go up. And with that, so does the likelihood of one of those mosquitoes biting an infected person and spreading it around.
You know, a lot of people might think mosquitoes are mosquitoes. We have dozens of different types of mosquitoes around here. What type is it that we have to worry about with Zika?
Well, we just need to worry about the Aedes family of mosquitoes, specifically the Aedes aegypti. And actually tomorrow, that's where we pick up our story with Jacqueline Quinn, who traveled to Auburn University to talk to researchers who study mosquitoes and the diseases they carry.
All right, thanks so much, Emily.
Thank you.
It is time now for a look at what's making news outside the Gulf Coast. One of 5 Baltimore police officers charged in the death of Freddie Gray has been acquitted. A judge found Officer Edward Nero not guilty of misconduct in office and reckless endangerment. The judge said that Nero wasn't involved in the actual arrest of Gray and touched him only after Gray was in handcuffs. Gray died in April of 2015 after his neck was broken in the back of a police transport van while he was handcuffed and shackled, but unrestrained by a seatbelt. An earlier trial for an officer charged with manslaughter in the case ended in a hung jury back in December.
One of the stars of the TV reality show Pawn Stars will avoid jail time. Austin Lee Russell, known as Chumlee on the show, will plead guilty to a felony weapons charge and a misdemeanor drug charge in exchange for counseling and 3 years probation. In March, authorities found a small arsenal of weapons, a gallon plastic bag of marijuana, and other drugs in his home.
Mount Everest is living up to its reputation as one of the deadliest places on Earth. 4 people have died on the mountain in the last 4 days, and 2 others are still missing. 2 victims died of altitude sickness. 1 fell to his death, and another died of a heart attack. Last year was the deadliest ever on Everest. 22 people lost their lives, including 19 who were killed in an avalanche.
Well, Hangout headliner Calvin Harris didn't perform on Saturday night as expected. Wait till you hear how much money was left on the table after he was in a bad car accident the night before the big show in Gulf Shores. That's coming up in tonight's Web Center report.
This is Legal Update with Cunningham Bounds.
Hello, I'm Drexel Gilbert, and today on Legal Update, we're talking about injuries caused by drunk drivers. And joining us are attorneys from Cunningham Bounds, Robert Mitchell and Lucy Tufts. Now, Lucy, tell us, just how dangerous are drunk drivers?
Well, every day in the United States, 28 people are killed and tens of thousands are injured in drunk driving crashes. Many of these people are innocent victims. In fact, a recent study shows that more than half of all fatal crashes are caused by drunk drivers.
On average, 2 out of 3 people will be involved in a crash caused by a drunk driver at some point during their life. The likelihood goes up when you include crashes caused by people under the influence of illegal drugs. Many of these crashes change people's lives in dramatic ways.
And that is so frightening. If someone is injured by a drunk driver, what should they do to protect their legal rights?
If there has been a serious injury or a death, finding the right plaintiff's firm is important. Drunk driving cases can involve complicated legal issues. They also require a prompt and thorough investigation so that key evidence can be preserved.
Experience, resources, and results matter, especially in the courtroom. Defendants and their insurance carriers know which law firms get results in the courtroom. Do your homework before hiring a plaintiff law firm.
Robert's right. We've obtained over $18 billion in verdicts and settlements. No one else in our community comes anywhere close to that. Don't settle for less. Your family's future depends on it.
Well, thank you so much for sharing such important information with us. That has been today's Legal Update. Thank you for joining us.
To have your potential case evaluated by a Cunningham Bounds attorney, call 1-800-472-6191.
Want to be happy with your next vehicle purchase? At Enterprise, we guarantee it. Head to your neighborhood Enterprise car sales and let the people who buy more vehicles than anyone change your thinking about buying your next one.
Check out the Mobile Bay Harley-Davidson Feature Bike of the Week.
Tonight in the Webb Center, the biggest performer at the Hangout Music Festival this weekend was a no-show. DJ Calvin Harris had to cancel at the last minute after he was in a car crash.
The fans weren't happy, obviously, but financially might be good news for Hangout promoters because of Harris's exorbitant price tag.
News 5's JB Buno joins us live at the Webb Center, and JB, Calvin Harris commands a lot of money.
Oh yeah, Devin, Harris reportedly makes an average of $500,000 for each show. Yeah, $500,000 big ones. Forbes says he's the highest paid DJ in the world, but with his car accident Friday night in Los Angeles forcing him to drop out with minor injuries, Hangout organizers, they're sitting on a boatload of extra money that they didn't have to pay. Now, I spoke to a lot of young fans at the festival this weekend, many of them purchasing tickets just to see Calvin Harris. He's known for his electronic hits like Summer, How Deep Is Your Love, and Feels So Close, and he's known for dating singer Taylor Swift as well. Now, if you've never heard of any of his songs or never heard of Harris himself, don't be alarmed. He's more of a hit with the EDM-loving millennial generation. Harris reportedly suffered a cut to the nose on Friday night, but he should be okay. At Hangout on Saturday night, Harris was replaced by rocker Panic at the Disco, who put on a show that was well received by fans. But Pete and Devin, $500,000, that sounds good for DJing.
Not bad. About $5,000 a minute, we figured out.
Yeah, something like that.
All right, thanks, JB. Crawfish boils are a way of life for a lot of people around here.
Yeah, and that's why there is such an uproar about a ban on some of them. News 5's Roseanne Haven joins us live in our newsroom with a look at a story we're working on for tonight at 6. Roseanne?
Oh, I love my crawfish, and a lot of people are upset because the health department has put up a stop to the weekly crawfish boils outside of downtown bars. The health department met with area bars last year around this time, and they told them they needed a permit to serve food. When crawfish season rolled around again this spring, officials shut them down, saying the businesses did not follow sanitation protocols to keep people safe. So, does this affect the annual crawfish and gumbo cook-offs that raise money for charity? They use the same kind of equipment. More on that tonight at 6.
Thanks, Roseanne. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you tonight at 6.
WKRG News 5. Coverage you can count on.